Part 2 of January 25th, 2020. Memory. Sometimes we remember things, sometimes we can't. It's not something we can order or command. When memory comes up, we don't know if it's going to be correct or not. Sanya is the aggregate that has memory in it. Sometimes it can remember what this person's name is, what that person's name is, even the name of this person's mom, this person's dad, or another step to memory, remembering the traffic lights, for example, like green, not just remembering that green is the name of the color, but it means go, or red means stop, or yellow means race and get through the light. Although that's true in Thailand, I'm not sure about some Western countries, which are quite proper and they slow down at the yellow light. So we can remember symbols or signals as well as another step of memory. Or like the men's room or women's room, right, with the pictures of the male and female. In Japan, the men's room has blue on it and the women's room has pink on it. There's no picture of a person there. So what if we're a guy and we like the color pink? We walk right in, don't know the symbol. Right? So sometimes we can't interpret a symbol correctly. A deeper sanya is interpretation in a correct way and in an incorrect way. Like things that aren't beautiful, interpreting that they are beautiful. Like this face of ours. When we wake up in the morning, don't wash our face sometimes like a wrinkled old chicken. Right? Oily and gross. Who thinks that their face is ugly when they are asleep or wake up in the morning? Let's see here. Who has real wisdom? Who wakes up and thinks that they look beautiful, right? That's a little off base. Or how about our breath? Smell nice in the morning? Let's try and smell our breath. Our mouths are closed because of masks, but we can still smell our breath, can't we? We can breathe out and smell it. And we'll know, we'll see. Dirty things. Things that aren't beautiful or pretty, and believing that they are. That's called a warped view. It's a wrong view. Interpreting things incorrectly. Some people believe incorrectly that there is one mind ever present in our life, but actually the mind arises and falls quickly. It's a different mind each moment. It's wrong view to think that there is one mind when we die that rises out of the body and finds another place to dwell. The mind arises from moment to moment and falls away each moment. Believing things that are impermanent are permanent. Believing things that are suffering are happy. Believing things that are not a self are a self. That's called warped view. Believing things that aren't beautiful are beautiful. Believing things that are impermanent are permanent. Believing things that are unhappy are happy or satisfactory, that are unsatisfactory or satisfactory. Believing things that are not a self are a self. This is all part of wrong view, a warped interpretation of the way things really are. We require vipassana to correct our view. Some people are gullible and believe that it is sanya that is blocking panya or wisdom. But that's not really a proper opposite pairing. That's not the truth. The true pairing is, well, some people believe there's a pairing between liberation and supposition, but that's just because in Pali their names are similar. It's not the case. So for Vipassana, we need to see things from the perspective of the three characteristics. Some people make their mind empty or silent and believe it to be an enlightened state, but they just come out kind of indifferent of that state, and there isn't any movement towards achieving wisdom. The masters, when they see people in that state where they've managed to practice some samadhi, but their mind is still kept still to discern the body, take a look at the hair, take a look at the body, and try to gain wisdom with regards to it, right? If we watch the hair, for example, we'll see that the hair is growing and growing and eventually changes color, right? It's changing, impermanent. So slowly starting to interpret things in the way that they are. So some people need to use thinking to encourage or stimulate wisdom to happen, but the thinking isn't the wisdom. When it's actual wisdom, the mind will see things correctly on its own, won't require thinking. Some people practice Vipassana incorrectly or teach it incorrectly, thinking that we just have to think and consider things. This body isn't really me. I'm not this body, right? And some people put themselves in a peaceful or a happy state for a while by thinking that way. But it isn't the correct type of samadhi that the mind is positioned in, and therefore wisdom isn't truly happening. When the mind is held kind of still and indifferent, then it isn't developing wisdom. So the mind has to be the knower, the stable observer, and then being able to see mental and physical phenomena working, and then see the three characteristics of them in order for there to be wisdom arising. Wisdom is understanding. If we interpret things incorrectly, we'll understand incorrectly. But if we see things as they are, we'll have a correct interpretation. We'll understand. We think incorrectly because we interpret things incorrectly. We have wrong view. But right view comes from the mind that is positioned correctly and seeing things as they actually are. So we need mindfulness by practicing to see things as they really are, seeing the body and mind working. Now, the thinking is what happens the most, so if we see the mind lost in thought again and again and again, we'll have quick mindfulness and we'll start to have samadhi. We'll have the stable mind. Or there's anger, and mindfulness is able to see the anger, then there'll be correct samadhi as well. But those that learn Abhidhamma or learn too much theory, they know all kinds of different phenomena, but they only know it through thinking. They're not actually truly seeing mental and physical phenomena. If you haven't practiced having the mind that is the knower or the watcher, it doesn't matter if we're just saying there's anger here now, there's anger here now, or anything like that. It's not, the mind isn't positioned correctly for wisdom. So is this hard? Well, listening isn't hard, right? We have ears, so the words go in. But when we hear, is it entering our brain or is it entering our heart? It's not through, try to remember this, it's not through listening that things can arise, that things can enter our heart. It only enters our brain. We have to see with this mind or heart of ours, not with the brain or the intellect. So we need to have mindfulness. Mindfulness is that which is aware or is able to sense the movement of the body and the movement of the mind. If we have enough mindfulness, then we'll be aware of this body and mind in a real way, and then we'll be able to see our feelings, we'll be able to sense the movements of our body. Like, so if there's an itch, for example, we'll know in our heart we're wanting to scratch. We'll feel the body moving to scratch. Knowing the body and knowing the mind frequently. And when we practice this, mindfulness will get faster and faster. And the mind will be able to recollect mental and physical phenomena quickly. Mindfulness, another word for it is recollection. Being able to recall what the body just did or what the mind just did. What the movement of the body and the movement of the mind. If we are aware in the correct way, then we'll have correct samadhi, and both mindfulness and samadhi will reach their fruition. The body will be moving. Normally, we have wrong view and think that it's me moving. But it's really rupa or matter, physicality that's moving. But some people just pretend and say it's the body moving, but they still not me moving, but they still have wrong view. They're just changing the wording. That's not really wisdom. It's not easy to be able to see things as they actually are, because it takes a while to practice having the correct samadhi to do so. Usually the monks that are here with me, it takes them a month or more to be able to have correct samadhi throughout the day, to start to practice wisdom. After a while, when their mind is positioned correctly as the observer, then they can start to see the different feelings and sense and have the angle that they fall under the three characteristics. At first, there has to be intention to try to be able to be aware. And then after a while, it happens automatically. Thank you very much for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe.